It's amazing how the political landscape can shift so dramatically, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
One minute a party is, shaping the agenda, the next they're facing a potential wipeout.
Yeah.
That's the kind of high-stakes situation we're unpacking today with the Pineapple Party, Bumjatai.
Right.
They're sort of in the eye of a storm, facing this real possibility of dissolution.
It's the sheer speed sometimes and the profound consequences of these cases that really grab your attention.
Exactly.
We're not just talking about a minor setback.
Mhm.
Party dissolution can fundamentally redraw the political map.
Absolutely, and that's precisely what we're diving deep into today. We'll break down the accusations leveled against Bumjatai, hear their response, and then take a step back to understand the whole history of political party dissolutions in Thailand.
Which is quite a history.
It is. Our insights today, just so you know, come from the latest news on Daily News and Madishan Online, plus an academic article giving us that crucial historical context.
Yeah, and looking at that bigger picture, understanding the legal frameworks, how similar things have played out before. It's essential, really.
Right.
Helps you figure out if this is, a one-off or part of a wider pattern in Thai politics.
Our goal is pretty straightforward. Give you a clear, informed understanding of this developing story and the legal rules involved.
Without getting bogged down.
Exactly, without overwhelming you. Okay, let's get into it, starting with the core of the issue, the allegations themselves.
So what exactly is Bumjatai being accused of? What kicked all this off?
Well, it all centers on a complaint filed by Mrs. Kusumawati Sirikomut.
Okay.
She's a reserve senator and, interestingly, a former MP with the Pheu Party. So, another major political player there for context.
Right, context is important.
Her complaint went to the Election Commission, the EC, and it alleges that Bumjatai, its leader Anutin Charnvirakul, and its Secretary General violated the Constitution.
Okay.
Specifically during the selection of senators back in 2024.
Okay, the recent Senate selection. And her claims are quite specific, aren't they? Not just general unhappiness.
Very specific.
Yeah.
She uses the term collusion, koder, in Thai to describe what she believes happened. And she goes further, claiming she has evidence of criminal association, putankane, and just general misconduct by key Bumjatai figures.
Wow, okay. Criminal association, that sounds legally quite serious in the Thai context, doesn't it?
It really does. It implies, a structured group involved in illegal activities. That sets a pretty high bar for the evidence needed.
Yeah, absolutely. These are significant claims, way beyond normal political back and forth.
And there's more. Mrs. Kusumawati alleges there are financial trails connected to this, and she claims Anutin Charnvirakul actually instructed newly appointed senators to sign resignation letters in advance.
Pre-signed resignation letters.
Yes, apparently at a hotel. She even says she has photos and audio evidence to back this up.
Okay, if true, that raises huge questions about the independence of those senators, doesn't it? Potential control.
Exactly. Undermining their intended role. She's really painting a picture here, linking the alleged instructions, the letters. It suggests coordinated influence.
Right.
And she's also worried about the integrity of independent organizations generally, suggesting they might be compromised because of this alleged Senate influence.
How does she connect that?
Well, she brings up some, let's say, well-known and controversial issues to illustrate her point. Things like the Khao Kradon land dispute, the Khao Yai National Park encroachment, and the problems with that 20 billion baht parliament construction project.
Interesting. Linking those specific, maybe seemingly separate issues back to this alleged Senate influence, suggesting a wider pattern.
She even claims she saw financial connections involving a close relative of a party leader. And to really drive home the seriousness, she's basically said the scale of this alleged wrongdoing dwarfs past election issues that did lead to party dissolutions.
So she's explicitly referencing past dissolutions as a benchmark.
Yes, setting a very clear context for the potential consequences here if these allegations are proven.
Okay, so those are some very serious accusations on the table. How is Bumjatai responding? This could, as you say, lead to their dissolution.
Well, their spokeswoman, Ms. Nan Bunyathita Somchai, she's an MP for Ubon Ratchathani, says they're taking it extremely seriously.
I'd imagine so.
Their first move, announcing legal action against Mrs. Kusumawati herself.
Ah, okay. Countersuing for damage to the party's reputation.
Exactly. A pretty common tactic in these situations, trying to control the narrative legally.
So their initial public response focuses on the accuser.
Yes. Miss Anand stated Bumjaitai believes Mrs. Kusumawati has, quote, malicious intent and is actively trying to destroy the party.
Strong words.
And they're committed, they say, to pursuing this legal action to the fullest extent.
Which, brings up the whole burden of proof issue, right? Both for her complaint and for their lawsuit.
Absolutely. Both sides will need compelling evidence. It's going to be legally complex.
Sure.
Ms. Nain also made a point of emphasizing that Bumjaitai operates as a legitimate political institution within Thailand's democratic system under the monarchy, and that their focus is working for the benefit of the people and the nation.
That sounds like a standard defense, reaffirming their legitimacy and public service mission, positioning themselves within the constitutional framework.
Pretty much. It's often a key point in these kinds of cases.
Right.
And it's also worth remembering that Anutin Tranvirakul, the leader, had actually denied any involvement in Senate selection collusion before this complaint surfaced.
Oh, he had?
Yeah. He had apparently even said he prohibited party members from getting involved.
Okay, well, that prior denial will definitely be scrutinized now, especially if Mrs. Kusumawati presents conflicting evidence.
For sure. It sets up potential contradictions down the line.
Right.
So we've got the allegations, the strong denial. Now, let's dig into the legal framework in Thailand. How does a party actually get dissolved? What are the rules here?
Yeah, understanding the legal basis is crucial to figuring out where this might go.
The ultimate authority here, the only body that can do this, is the Constitutional Court.
The Todd Court.
Right. And the foundation for everything is the Constitution itself, supreme law. Any law conflicting with it is invalid. Simple as that, in theory.
And it's interesting, Thailand's had quite a few constitutions since 1932, hasn't it? The framework hasn't always been static.
16 constitutions. It's quite something. Not all detailed party rules extensively, but it shows how the legal thinking around political organizations has, well, evolved.
Or at least changed frequently.
Right. And we've also seen specific laws on political parties. Our academic source mentions 7 different acts just between 1955 and 1998.
So multiple attempts over the years to define the rules of the game for parties, how they function, how they can be dissolved.
Exactly, each reflecting different political eras and approaches. This whole legal framework for parties, including dissolution, it's not fixed, it's adapted along with Thailand's political journey.
So what are the actual grounds for dissolution now? What does the law say?
Well, the academic article highlights threats to national security as a key reason.
And that's broadly defined, not just military threats.
Correct. It covers political, administrative, and economic security too, which, makes you think about how broadly national security could be interpreted by the court.
Yeah, that interpretation is critical in these cases. It's a potentially very wide net.
Definitely. And how does a case even get to the Constitutional Court?
That's where the Election Commission comes in, right? The EC.
Exactly. They're usually the first stop for complaints, like the one from Mrs. Kusumawati.
So the EC acts as a kind of initial investigator.
Kind of like a gatekeeper, yeah. They look into the complaint if they find sufficient grounds.
Sufficient grounds for concern, presumably.
Right. Then they forward the case to the Constitutional Court, and only the court can actually make the final decision to dissolve the party.
So it's a two-step process. EC investigates, court decides.
That's the key structure.
Yeah.
The EC's decision on whether to even send it up is obviously very influential.
Their assessment shapes the whole trajectory.
And there's a recent twist here. Our iLaw source mentioned a 2023 EC regulation that aims to speed up fact-gathering in dissolution cases, setting a target of just 67 days.
67 days. That's fast for something this serious.
It is. And this push for speed has raised some eyebrows, concerns about fairness, potential for political manipulation. Is there enough time for a proper investigation and response?
Yeah, that faster timeline could really squeeze the parties involved, limiting their time to build a defense. That's a valid concern.
Okay, so we have the legal setup. Now, let's look at some history. How has this actually played out before in Thai politics? What can past dissolutions tell us?
Precedents are always insightful. Seeing how the rules were applied in practice.
A really big example, probably the most dramatic recently, was the Thai Raksa Chart Party dissolution in 2019.
That was incredibly fast, wasn't it?
Just 23 days, start to finish. Remarkable speed.
And the reason?
They nominated a member of the royal family as a prime ministerial candidate. The court ruled this potentially violated the democratic system with the king as head of state.
So, a highly sensitive political issue, especially involving the monarchy, triggered a very rapid process.
Exactly. And it makes you, the listener, Think about that balance, right? Protecting core institutions versus ensuring parties have adequate time to respond.
That speed certainly highlights the urgency applied to certain kinds of alleged violations.
Then you have the Future Forward Party in 2020.
Right, another big one.
Their dissolution took a bit longer, 71 days from complaint to ruling.
And that was about?
A loan. The party took a large loan from its leader, Thanathorn Rungwangkongkit. The court decided this was an illegal source of funding under party finance laws.
Okay, so financial irregularities, also grounds for dissolution, maybe with a slightly longer process than Tyrox's chart.
Yeah, comparing those two, you see different timelines, maybe suggesting the nature of the allegation influences the speed.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, our ILAW source contrasts these with complaints against the Palang Prakaroth party.
Where things haven't moved as quickly.
Exactly.
Hmm.
According to ILAW, similar complaints haven't seen the same kind of rapid progress, which has led some observers to question the, let's say, consistency and impartiality of the EC's decisions.
Right. That varying progress across different cases does raise legitimate questions about what factors are really driving the EC's decisions and timing. Consistency is key for public trust.
Absolutely. Now, for a bit of wider perspective, let's quickly look abroad. How do other democracies handle party dissolutions? We've got examples from Germany and South Korea.
Yeah, international comparisons can be useful. Shed light on underlying principles, different approaches.
Okay, Germany first. Their constitution is pretty clear on this. The Constitutional Court can dissolve parties that actively try to undermine or abolish the, quote, liberal democratic order or endanger the state.
So, a direct threat to democracy itself?
Yes. And they also require parties' internal structures to be democratic, and they demand transparency about where their money comes from.
Makes sense.
What's interesting, though, is that simply holding certain beliefs, like Marxist-Leninist ones, isn't grounds for dissolution unless the party actively uses force or opposes the constitutional order.
So the emphasis is on action and intent to overthrow, not just ideology. A high bar.
It seems like it. It makes you wonder, looking back at the Bumjae-Tai case, do the current allegations meet that kind of high bar, or are they more in the realm of, say, procedural violations or misconduct?
That's a key distinction. The German model really focuses on an existential threat to democracy.
Now, South Korea, their constitution guarantees freedom to set up parties, supports a multi-party system. Sounds good. But their constitutional court can also dissolve parties whose objectives or activities violate fundamental democratic principles.
Okay. Similar principle to Germany and Thailand protecting democracy.
Yes, but they also have other legal conditions. Things like not having enough regional party offices or failing to get a certain minimum number of seats or votes in an election.
So more practical, organizational thresholds as well, not just ideological or behavioral ones.
Seems so. But the common thread connecting Thailand, Germany, and South Korea is this focus on upholding democratic principles as a core justification for taking the drastic step of dissolving a party.
Right. That seems to be the underlying rationale across these different systems, even if the specifics vary.
Okay, so let's bring our deep dive back home to the Bumjae-Tai case. As we wrap up, what are the key takeaways for you, the listener?
Well, first, you have these serious allegations of collusion in the Senate selection process. That's triggered a potential EC investigation.
Right, and Bumjae-Tai is hitting back hard, denying everything, planning to sue the accuser. The EC now has the job of sifting through the evidence, deciding whether to punt it up to the Constitutional Court.
And the court holds the ultimate power over the party's future.
And as we've discussed, looking at Thai history and those international examples like Germany and South Korea, the whole legal idea behind dissolving parties is generally meant to protect the democratic system itself.
That's the theory, yes. Safeguarding democracy.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over. Given how quickly some past dissolutions happen and these new EC rules aiming for speed.
That's 67-day target.
Exactly. What might this Bumjae-Tai case mean for political stability for the election process in Thailand going forward?
Yeah.
And maybe more fundamentally, what's the right balance between getting a swift resolution and making absolutely sure that evidence is properly examined, that due process is followed, especially when the stakes are this high?
It really prompts you to consider that balance, doesn't it? Swift justice versus thorough, fair examination, especially with potential impacts on the entire political landscape.
A very delicate balance, as you said earlier, with potentially huge ramifications for Thailand's democracy.
Indeed.
Definitely something to keep a close watch on. We really encourage you to follow the news as this story develops and think about those broader implications of party dissolutions.